And we're here at the JEN Festival. This is Bob Bernotas, hanging out here at the radio station at the Big U on 1620 AM and on, what is it again? umslradio.org? .com. Man, I'll get that right sooner or later. Hanging out here at the JEN Festival, that stands for Jazz Education Network. I call it a festival because that's what it is for me. I've heard so much great music and met a lot of terrific people. And joining me now, it's really a conference, so I should get it right. But joining me now in the studio is singer Katie Bull. And actually, I met Katie on the bus coming from the airport to the hotel. We had a great chat on the bus and bumped into her here on the floor and brought her into the studio. We're going to talk about her projects and her music. Welcome, Katie.
Hey, nice to see you again.
Yeah, great to have you here. So, what do you think of the festival so far?
I love it, and I think it feels like a festival.
It really does.
Yeah, it's true.
It does because the music has been astounding. We were just out there and heard this band, kick in,
amazing.
And it's a high school band that's playing right now, and they sound like Count Basie or Buddy Rich. It's
no, that's not
mind-blowing.
a joke either. They really do.
It is not. The level of talent amongst the young players just blows my mind. I don't know if you heard the band yesterday. They were like these young kids from.
They were so young.
There's that Dixieland band.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
And the little kid playing the cornet just blew me away. I think I don't know if he's 10 or he'll be 10 or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about your projects. You're a singer.
I am. Well, actually, just to segue from that,
sure.
I came from this younger place. I mean, I grew up in jazz, so when I hear these younger people playing, it totally makes sense because we grow up in jazz.
So how did you get exposed to jazz as a kid?
My dad was a jazz piano player. He came from Detroit, Michigan. He came to New York City to play with Lenny Tristano. And so I just grew up in jazz, sessions, jazz jam sessions. I went to hear everything that he did in clubs in New York City, and I just have been living with it my whole life.
That's so common. The people that I know who maybe not even jazz artists, but just love jazz, were maybe many of them, I'd say the majority of them were first exposed to it when they were kids. Maybe their parents were musicians. My dad was a bassist. He didn't play professionally. I take that back. He played professionally, but he had a day gig.
Yeah.
But on weekends he played.
Yeah. Well, then my dad became a dancer.
Really?
A postmodern, crazy, wild, improvising guy.
Wow.
And we were living in the Don Cherry Loft down in Tribeca in Manhattan. So, but here at this conference they've been talking a lot about the jazz audience, and it's a value system too. It's kind of like, it's about wanting to have something spontaneous and something that has risk in it and something that's participatory. So even if you don't grow up in jazz, it's like you can get into it, if you can understand or feel some of that happening. Well,
I've turned a lot of people on to jazz over the years, friends of mine who suddenly were exposed to it by my taking them to a Dexter Gordon concert or something like that, and really getting into it. I really maintain that any reasonably intelligent person will end up loving jazz. It's not music for dummies. I hate that book, Jazz for Dummies.
No.
I will never buy that, and I hope no one ever does buy it. But it's not music for dummies. But people who think and like the things and are interested in the world around them will become part of the jazz audience, I think, if they're just exposed to it. And that's the issue, is getting it to them.
It's true. Well, I was just singing in Manhattan at this venue that's doing all this curating of new jazz, which, what are these definitions? It's like jazz that is taking certain risks to go slightly outside the box of maybe forms that are, traditionally recognizable. And Faye Victor is the singer who's curating it with Rumka Arts for Arts. And so I've been on that series a couple times. And one of my friends, who's an actor, he came down and he was like, "What is this? What's going on here?" And I said, "Well, these are musicians from around the world, like Francois Griot, and there were a few players from William Parker band, and they, I said, and this is a kind of like a game." And I used a metaphor that he would understand. And he started to totally hear the music, whereas at first it was like noise. All of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm hearing that they're coming together here. They're throwing the ball, and so I've been doing venues like that give you the chance to sort of stretch out.
I'm talking here with Katie Bull, who is a singer, and she has a CD that she brought for us to listen to. It's called The Story So Far. Why don't you talk about the CD and the tune we're going to hear?
Well, this is The Story So Far. This is the last CD. I just recorded a new one called Greetings Earthlings, which will be coming out this coming year. But this one is I guess you're going to play Witch, maybe?
Play Witch.
That's pretty straight ahead. There are some little crazy edges there. I wrote this tune, and it's got Frank Kimbrough on piano, and Harvey Sorgan on drums, Joe Fonda on bass, and Jeff Lederer on the sax. And it's just real playful. I grew up with very straight ahead jazz, but also a lot of out players would come into my home. So they would do standards, and then they would totally take them apart, and then they would land inside of them again.
Yeah.
To me, that's where I think that's where my ears are at.
So let's listen to this track. It's titled Which? Which with a question mark.
Yes, which as in W. Which one?
Which one?
Which.
From Katie Bull's current release, The Story So Far. Here are you.
Or a bad witch. Which
Cool.
you to